Hello everybody and welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We have a ton of content coming out for you guys every single week. We don't want you to miss a thing. Our usual shout out of appreciation to our patrons. All those tips of support are highly appreciated. It's only going to go towards making the channel better. We're hoping to add a lot more games to the channel, such as roulette, video keno, video poker, carnival games, things along those lines. We just want to do it right. It's going to be very expensive, so it's going to take some time. You could help us out if you wanted to. If not, no big deal. We appreciate you guys just tuning in. But if you're curious about it, go ahead and check the description down below this video on the patronage. And for our patrons, we do hope you are appreciating those patron-only exclusive videos we're putting out for you guys every single week. If you have anything you'd like to see, just email us on the site. We're more than happy to film it for you. As for the rest of you, please continue tuning in. We have, like I said, a ton of content coming out. And if you have any suggestions, questions, strategies, anything related to craps, baccarat, blackjack, pai gow, casinos, Vegas in general, just go ahead and shoot us an email at sincityliving@gmail.com. We absolutely love to shoot these videos for you guys. It is our favorite thing to do. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into today's video. So for today's episode of Crossfire, we want to talk about strip and non-strip, and we'll even add a third category into that: downtown, like Fremont. So you'd have the strip, downtown, and then the off-strip places. And just what are some of the differences with them, and why you may want to go to one or the other. Now, in a lot of ways, the strip and downtown are very parallel with each other. Very, very, very similar. Even though downtown has smaller casinos, because they're such a touristy spot, they have a lot of similarities with the strip. One of the first things that I would think of is that the off-strip places tend to have lower limits. They're trying harder to pull people in, especially regulars. You're going to see a different crowd as well. At off-strip places, you see a lot more regulars. Some of the far off-strip places are almost entirely locals. That really actually changes the vibe. Tourists tend to be having a lot more fun, while locals that are regulars tend to be a lot more serious about their gambling. So the energy level tends to be different. Yeah. But definitely the table limits and the odds. The strip has a captive audience. They already have people come, especially now that things have really recovered. They really struggled when we first reopened, but now things are coming back into their own. So in the strip, you tend to find places with worse odds. 6-5 blackjack. I won't play a 6-5 blackjack table. Nope. It's the house has enough of a house edge with the standard rules and payouts. The lights aren't getting shut off anytime soon. So when they're trying to squeeze more blood out of that stone, I'm not going to play there. If it's 6-5 blackjack, if a 12 pays double in the field, and especially if hot bets pay 30-4-1 instead of 31-4-1, or 15-4-1 instead of 16-4-1 in craps, not going to play there. They're just trying to squeeze even a larger house edge out of a house edge that's solid enough. Versus if you go off strip, you see the 3-2s, you see more places that'll offer like surrender, which is not a deal breaker for me, although it does make a huge difference to your odds. But you see the 3-2 blackjack, you'll see the free bet stuff. For craps, you'll see the 10 times, 20 times odds instead of the 3-4-5, because they're trying to be more appealing, knowing that that's what they have to do to draw people away from the strip.
Right. And also you're going to get a little more bang for your buck when it comes to amenities as well off the strip. You're going to be able to find cheaper meals. You're going to be able to find more cheaper accommodations in terms of parking or in terms of rooms.
Absolutely.
You're not going to have to shell out $80 a person to eat, or pay, $5 an hour to park your car.
One thing I've noticed, even on the strip, is even the strip places that'll have some little fast food place or something in their food area, the price is still
or double.
Way more expensive. Now, I used to run restaurants, and I used to run a restaurant that actually had a location in a strip casino, and I talked to some of the managers that helped open it, and it turned out that even though that restaurant had the same menu and all that, it was technically a franchise in that the restaurant was completely, entirely owned and controlled by the casino. So that might explain why I've been to strip casinos, gone to McDonald's, and paid $13 for my $6 meal, and gone to another casino that was off strip that had a McDonald's and paid $6.
Yeah. You're not going to find the 4-star dining or the 5-star dining off the strip except for a few places.
The resorts, basically.
Right. But you're going to be able to spend $10, $15 a person versus $60, $80, $100 a person.
And those off-strip places are much more likely to have just a small, quickie, cheaper dining option.
Now, there's a couple of off-the-strip places where you can spend a couple bucks and get a hot dog.
Right, a good one.
Or
too.
a slice of pizza.
And there's a few places on the strip that have like hot dog places and pizza places, but they're not cheap.
Not a couple bucks.
No, they are not cheap at all. They're good.
I think,
get me wrong.
what is it? The New York has a Nathan's.
They have a hot dog and they have a pizza place and they have a cab. They have some. That was my favorite place to stay before I moved to Vegas. And they do. New York has some fantastic dining options. And as far as the strip goes, some of the prices, the pizza place is not exorbitant. It's still more expensive than it would be outside of there, but it's not exorbitant. But not a lot of the strip casinos have that cheapo quick dining option. Because for me, when I was playing, food was literally just fuel. I wasn't looking for a sit-down 45-minute meal.
Right.
I was looking for where can I go real fast so I can be back at the table in 10 minutes.
So I can have some sustenance and I won't just drop dead on this table.
Pretty much. I looked at food as fuel, and the same thing, I looked at my room as the nap and shower place. I didn't really, as long as the room was clean, I didn't care if it was the size of a walk-in closet. As long as it was clean, had a shower, and a pillow. I'm good, because I'm going to be taking a nap, showering, and then be hitting the casinos again or going to a show or just being out doing something. The room was not where I stayed. It was where I slept, where I napped, because I didn't really take a full night's sleep. Which, by the way, rooms also. While there are some great deals and specials you'll find on rooms, you're going to find them the most off the strip. Especially during major events, but even holiday stuff like that, the off-strip places, the prices will rise. Now, downtown, the Fremont area and the strip can become very, very similar in pricing on the rooms, especially on special event days. Just like table limits. Table limits are going to be lower off the strip in general. Off the strip is where you're still going to find $10 tables, the very occasional $5 table. On the strip, especially center strip, good luck finding a $15 table. They're there, but good luck. Mostly you're going to find quarters and up.
Or
Fremont
if you do
Street,
find a $15 table, it's going to be 3 deep with people waiting
you're not
for
gonna
that
see.
$15 table.
Fremont, at best, you're going to find a 15. Or you will find a few 10s, but those are the kind of carnival game tables where your minimum bet just to really enter the game and play the game is going to be more than $10. That's why it's going to be cheaper. You actually have 20, 30 bucks on the table. So even on Fremont, you good luck finding the tables below 15. And 15s are difficult. Most of them are still going to be 25s. It's still going to be quarters. We were just on Fremont Thursday night, and quarters, 15s, and the downtown, they tend to act a lot like the strip. We saw a lot of $15 and $25 tables that were absolutely empty. There were not that many people playing table games at all, whereas a lot of the off-strip places would have dropped their table limits to encourage more people to play, whereas downtown, they don't care. They just leave their limits up nice and high.
If people want to play badly enough, they'll fork out whatever they're asking.
And if not, they
don't need the
care.
business.
They don't care.
Right.
So, that's some of the differences. Parking is where I would actually give the edge, of course, to off the strip, and then number 2 would be on the strip. You have to pay for valet at a lot of places, although some of them are backing off of that and going back to free valet and free self-parking, because that was a big uproar for them when they all started charging for all parking, parking. So a lot of them are starting to back off from that again. Now, downtown Fremont is the absolute worst when it comes to the parking. You're going to pay every time, and it's going to be freaking expensive, especially on the weekends.
Pardon my first one.
So it's absolutely ridiculous. I went on a weekend about 3 years ago, and the first 4 places I went to, there was no parking left available. When I finally found a spot, it was like $50. And I was only there for a few hours. So downtown is by far the worst on the parking side of things, absolutely. So why are some of the reasons that you might want to go to the Strip? One, you've got much more options. Just within any of the resort casinos, Center Strip, you could stay there for 3 or 4 days and never have to leave the building, because they have literally every possible thing you can want, but you are going to pay for it. 2, all your options, and I don't mean just within that casino. I used to love going to Center Strip, and I found my favorite places to stay based on how much that I enjoy the casinos around them also. Because from one casino, any casino is the center of a star of other casinos. All of them are surrounded by casinos. So you find your cluster that you like. And I used to come out for 3 to 4 days at a time, and I would valet my car, I would park it, and I would not touch it again until the day I left. I would either take, if I went too far, I might take the little tram, or I might take a cab, because driving on the Vegas Strip can be a pain in the butt. Driving on the Vegas Strip is pretty easy, but getting to whichever side of the street you need to turn on, and getting your turn, or crossing to go left and stuff, it's a cluster.
Or navigating the massive herds that are all crossing at once.
Right. It's a mess. So it was just easier for me. But most of the time I walked everywhere, because I didn't have to walk more than about a minute from when I left the doorway of one casino until I was walking in the doorway of the next one that I wanted to go to. So you have a lot of options when you're on the Strip. Downtown, you'll still have the options as well. I would say downtown versus on the Strip, especially Center Strip, is going to be cleaner and nicer. But the flip side of that is Fremont is definitely crazier and wilder. So on the weekend, you just walk down Fremont Street and you're going to see some sights. You're going to see some
that
sights
you don't want to see.
that are going to stay with you. They're going to stay with you. They're going to linger.
Brain bleach.
And then as far as Strip and downtown, I would also say that downtown, most of the casinos, with the exception of Circa that just opened, most of the casinos are much smaller than what you see on the Strip.
Yeah.
So again, your options are a little bit more limited. They're going to have smaller gaming pits, so on a busy night, it's going to be a lot harder to get a seat at a table. They've got less slot options. They still have 1,000 slots, but they don't have the 5,000 slots that some of the Center Strip place may have. Pools are going to be better, like she was saying. The amenities, you're going to have a lot more amenities on the Strip. And then a big one too, entertainment.
Yeah.
You can walk from a Center Strip casino to so many different casinos and have an option of dozens of high-end shows, really good shows, not Billy Joe Bob and his comedy routine while he's sitting on the dingy bar in the corner of the off-strip joint. But Blue Man Group, or a headlining singer,
Cirque du
or
Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil. There's a lot of entertainment options, and especially because the Strip has really pushed to become an entertainment hub, not a gambling hub. Off-Strip certainly does have their entertainment, absolutely, but generally the only comparable places are going to be your resorts. And off the top of my head, I can only think of 4 off-Strip resorts. But there might be 1 or 2 that I'm not thinking of, but not counting downtown, of course, because Circa would, I believe, qualify as a resort, I think.
No clue.
But outside of that, the off-Strip place, I can only really think of 4 resorts. So those places would be pretty all-in-one, and have great amenities, great restaurants,
movie theater,
shows, movie theaters, bowling alleys, all the arcades, all the entertainment that you could want. But for the most part, off the Strip, you have less entertainment, you have way less options. You can't just walk out and hit like 9 more casinos, unless you're willing to really hoof it.
Really hoof it.
And some of those places, the areas you don't want to be hoofing it
No.
around there. And it also depends, there's different levels. You've got your off-strip resorts that are fantastic. They're comparable to any on-the-strip resort. Then you've got your off-strip, mid-range tier 2 casinos that are decent, have a lot of regulars, but and locals, but they're decent places. And then you've got your off-strip places that are much lower and
Questionable.
draw on a much different crowd. I mean, let me put it this way. The very first place I worked, I only worked there for a few weeks before I left for a much better option. But the very first place I worked at, their anchor restaurant was a Denny's. They didn't have a steakhouse. I'm not even talking high end, just a medium, just any steakhouse, or hell, even a Red Lobster. I mean, their anchor restaurant was a Denny's, and they'd have fights in there every weekend.
Did they still have the Mexican restaurant?
No, they had a hot wing place.
The Mexican restaurant closed.
And something else. They did have a Mexican nightclub though.
Not a nightclub restaurant. Oh, you said nightclub.
I'm saying they did have.
Oh, I thought you said they didn't have.
Nightclub.
Got it.
And that also. The nightclubs and the way off-strip places, the ones that have nightclubs, those nightclubs come closing time, it's real rough. On the strip, the nightclubs come closing time, there's such a swarm of security, and it's more high-end, and people have a lot more money. There's still going to be problems because you got the drunks who don't know how to drink, but for the most part, you have way less problems. But when you go way off-strip and you're hitting these bars and nightclubs, especially the nightclubs that close, when they close, it can get ugly quick.
Did you work graveyard?
Yes. I can't really think of any other main differences between the strip and off-strip and why you may want to do one over the other. Those are, for the most part, the differences and the things to look for.
Just got to know what it is you're looking for out of your trip. What do you want to achieve? Are you just there to gamble? Or are you there to, see a bunch of different places? Do you want to try a bunch of different restaurants? Do you want...
See some shows.
Right. So, just some things to keep in mind when you're planning your trip.
Actually, before I close it, I will say one other difference. When you're in the off-strip places, it's going to be a lot easier to get comps.
Yes, definitely.
You go to a center strip casino, and as we've mentioned before, what you buy in with has absolutely no bearing on your player rating and comps that you're going to get. It's all going to be based on your average play. But you go to one of these center strip places, and you buy in for $20,000, and you've got an average of $500 on the table every bet, and you ask for a free room or something, and you're just going to shrug. They're just going to look at you and just shrug. When you go to one of the off-strip places, especially one of the off-strip places, a tier 1, tier 2 casino, and you buy it for $20,000, you're playing $500 a hand, you're going to get offered a free room and a free meal within an hour.
Probably not even that long.
Yeah, so, definitely get a lot more comps, for sure. And otherwise, I have nothing else.
Nope.
Hope you guys enjoy this. Hope it's informative. We will catch you guys next time. Bye now.
Bye.